As technical director in studio, I manage the programmers under me, which means that I design the framework of the game, and then the other programmers fill in the parts. They actually implement the different parts of the game, AI and gameplay and so on. AI is the artificial intelligence, so that's the game seeming to work intelligently, and the gameplay is everything that's to do with the game. So it might be running across this corridor and then blasting your gun against a wall, or anything that you actually do in the game. So I've been in mobile for over 10 years, EA for 5 of those. Probably worked in over, just at EA, probably 30 games, because mobile is quite a fast industry in terms of turning the games around. Highlights at EA have been working on FIFA, and also on Mirror's Edge, which is a very good title, and MMA, which is the mixed martial arts. So there are various roles according to the grades. So I design the game, or design the architecture of the game in the first place. And there are various programmers who specialise either in the artificial intelligence or in the gameplay, or sometimes the front end. And then the team that are creating the game, there are other roles, which are the artistic role and the designer role as well, and all three are needed to create the whole game. So one of the major differences is that the amount of resources you've got is far less in a mobile game than a console game. The amount of memory you've got is less. The overall application size is much smaller. The screen is obviously much smaller, so the design has to be different. And you might only be able to fit in far fewer levels than an equivalent PC title. There are basically three specialties. There's the programmer and the designer and the artist, and they work together to create the game. The designer says what they want to happen, the programmer makes it happen, and the artist makes it look good. A game is like a film. You run it at 30 frames per second, or ideally 60 frames per second, and you've got a slice of time in which you've got to move all the characters and then draw them on the screen. And then after that, you do it over again and loop again and loop again. So that each time the ball or the character might move a little bit, react to any input that the player gives it, but just for that tiny slice of time, and then loops around again. You take FIFA as an example. There's a bit of logic running to decide where all the players are going to move. So in that one frame, you get to move a quarter of a step, but all the players have to move a quarter of a step. The ball might be flying through the air, that has to move a little bit according to the ball physics. And then once the game has worked out where everything should be, it draws it all on the screen, and then it loops around and does that again. So this is some code from FIFA, which is some of the code that determines how the player runs during a set piece. I think they're doing a 1-2 to try and score, and this tells them where to run to, again, just a little bit at a time. So in FIFA, there are sort of a number of different default positions and moves, so that you're always trying to stay in position on the football pitch. And if the ball comes in one way, then a few players might react to that and run towards it, and then a tackle might happen. So the players are then interacting, and all of those movements are controlled by the artificial intelligence behaviour, which says what they should do in certain situations. A programmer or anyone in the team, the primary skill is to communicate clearly. Creating a game is a team effort, and if the team can't communicate clearly with one another, then you waste an awful lot of time. For a programmer particularly, they need analytical skills in order that they can take the vision of the designer and cut it up into chunk-sized pieces that can then be used to move the frames on and one at a time to form the whole moving game. And finally, the ability to touch type is very useful for anybody working with a keyboard. I think the best advice I can give for a designer is to design what you know. So do something that you understand and believe in, and that you have a vision for.